Okay, today we're going to be taking a look at workbook pages 87 and 88 in your yellow Smarter Balance workbook. So make sure you have a pencil to take notes in your workbook or on your scratch paper. Question 21. Without multiplying, classify each product as being less than 3/4, equal to 3/4, or greater than 3/4. Write the letter of each expression in the correct box. Now remember, if you're multiplying it by a fraction that's smaller than one whole, your answer is going to be less than 3/4. If you multiply it by a number that's equal to one whole, it's going to be equal to 3/4. And if you're multiplying by a number that's greater than one whole, your answer is going to be greater than 3/4. Go ahead and solve 21. Pause your video. Okay, question 22. Leah filled bags with granola. The weights of the bags are 1/6, 2/3, etc. Organize this information in a line plot. So I drew the line plot for you. Copy it down. Notice my fractions go from 0 to 6/6, which is equal to 1 whole. And I first mark them off in sixes. So 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6, which is equal to 1 whole. Think of it as a pie. 6 out of 6 pieces is 1 whole pie. The next thing I did was change my 6 to thirds. So for example, 2/6 is the same thing as 1/3. If I divide both of these by 2, 2/6 reduces to 1/3. 3/6 reduces to 1/2 because I can divide both of these by 3. 4/6 becomes 2/3 because I can divide both of these by 2. So I marked sixths and thirds on my line plot. So for example, the first one says 1/6, so I put a dot above 1/6. The second one says 2/3, so I put a dot above 4/6, which is 2/3. And you do that for each of these. Then it says, what is the average weight of the bags? Remember, to find average, you have to add up all of these fractions together and divide by how many there are. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, when you're adding them, add them all as 6 because you need common denominators. So for example, I would go 1/6 plus 4/6 equals 5/6 instead of trying to add the thirds. Use the 6 that are on your line plot. So count up how many 6 total, and then you're going to be dividing by 16 because there are 16 numbers here. Pause your video till you're ready to move on. Question 23. So we're counting blocks to find the volume. So notice there are 2 rows, so you got to count how many are in front and multiply it by 2. On the bottom one, there's only 1 row of blocks, so there's only 1 set of blocks. There's not a second set behind, so you're just counting how many blocks are in the picture. Question 24. Aiden buys 1 package each of 2-pound, 3-pound, and 4-pound packages of ground turkey to make turkey burgers. How many 1/3 pound turkey burgers can he make? Anytime it says how many of this are in that, it's a dividing question. So first, add up how many pounds total that you have. So 2 plus 3 plus 4. And then take that answer and divide by 1/3. Remember to change all numbers to fractions first. Then circle the second fraction, which is the 1/3. Flip the second fraction and change it to multiplying. Solve all of these before you go on to the rest of the video. Okay, question number 25. Teresa has cubes that measure 3 inches on each side. So remember to find the volume, because this question's about volume. You're going to multiply length times width times height. Well, on a cube, they're all the same. So it's going to be 3 times 3 times 3 to get the volume of the cube. Do that first. Find the volume of the cube by going 3 times 3 times 3. And then you have to see which of these are true. So for A, is the volume 27? For B, if you fill a box with 10 cubes, is the volume 200? So whatever you got for the volume, you're going to multiply by 10 and see if it's 200. For C, if the volume of the box is 810, can she fit 30 cubes? So you're going to take 810 divided by whatever you got for the volume. And then for D, you're going to take 1000 divided by what you got for the volume to see if you got 30 or 40. On question 26, Jane used 1 centimeter cubes to build the rectangular prism shown. Find the volume of the rectangular prism Jane built. So notice it is a volume question. So we're going to be multiplying length times width times height. So you're going to be taking 6 times 3 times 4. So 6 times 3 times 4 to get the volume. Question 27. Allison packed 1-inch cubes into a box with a volume of 45 inches. How many layers? So this is a picture of one layer. So count how many cubes are in one layer, and then take 45 divided by how many cubes are in one layer to get how many layers total. Question number 28. Kristen drew a triangle with no congruent sides and no congruent angle. Which term accurately describes a triangle? And there's only going to be one correct answer here because there are no congruent sides. It means no sides are equal, and no congruent angles. Finish to 28. Pause your video until you're all done before you go on to the next part of the video. Okay, so let's see how you did. So 3/4 times 2/3 is going to be less than 3/4 because I'm multiplying by 2/3, which is less than 1 whole. 3/4 times 1/3 is going to be less than 3/4 because I'm multiplying by 1/3, which is less than 1 whole. 3/4 times 5/5 is equal to 3/4 because I'm multiplying by 1. 5/5 is equal to 1 whole pi. And then B, 3/4 times 3/2 is greater because 3/2 is more than 1 whole. 3/4 times 7/5 is greater because 7/5 is greater than 1 whole. And 3/4 times 3 is greater because 3 is greater than 1. Question 22. So I added up all of the sixths, and I got 36/6. Now I'm dividing by 16 because there are 16 total fractions. So I circle the second fraction and flip it. I cross-canceled. I divided by 4, I got 9. Divided by 4, I got 4. Remember, cross-canceling means to divide both of these by the same number. So I divided this by 4. I divided this by 4. So then I multiply straight across, and I got 9/24. Now to reduce it, I have to divide by something, a common factor. So 3 goes into 9, and 3 goes into 24. So I divided by 3, I got 3. Divided by 3, I got 8. On question 23, there are 8 cubes in the first picture, and there are 7 cubes in the second picture. Okay, question 24. So the first thing we do is add up how many pounds of meat we have. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 9 pounds of meat. I'm dividing by 1/3. So I circle the second fraction and flip it, and then multiply, and I get 27 burgers. Question 25, I multiply length times width times height, and I get 27 as my volume. And A and C are the correct answers. Question 26, I multiply length times width times height to get my volume of 72. And then for question 27, there's 15 cubes in that one layer, so 45 divided by 15 is 3 layers of cubes. And then for 28, B is the correct answer. It is scaling because none of the sides of the triangle are equal. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Have a great day.